Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy Barnett.
Hi.
Robin Grubel.
Hey there.
And Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists. It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Canine Detection Collaborative. I am here with the amazeballs, Crystal Wing.
Hello.
And the super fantabulous Stacy Barnett.
What if I wanted to be amazeballs?
You can be amazeballs next
That's
time.
my title today.
Checking. I'm just asking. Hi, everybody. Hi.
And who are you that's introducing us?
And I'm Robin Grubel.
And who are we?
Yes, right. Just so you guys know, yes, we've been on the phone, on Zoom, chit-chatting for like the last half an hour just to catch up with each other's lives and see what's going on and all sorts of things. And so we've already had appropriately giggling going on. So we thought we'd actually get started with the topic of the day, which is cross-training dogs. We do have another episode out there.
Yeah, we've already talked about this. Why are we doing this again?
Well, we sort of talked about it in the sense of what we do with our dogs, right?
Do. Okay.
Yeah. So kind of do with our dogs in a positive sort of spin. So maybe just for a short little recap for people, Robin does detection work with almost all the labs and Nico. And in addition, some of the labs are also doing hunting dog work. And if you know anything about hunting dog work, it's not really hunting for anything. It's, can you run in a straight line out to pick up a duck and come back? So it's off leash obedience at a distance. Yes, it is obedience at a distance. That's competitive hunt test stuff. And so that's kind of what I'm doing, plus progression plans on the Scandinavian Working Dog Institute's website. So that's what I do, like in the short version. Crystal, what do you do?
I do IGP with one of my dogs, and then I do IGP tracking as well with Radish. And then I do Mondio ring with one of my dogs. And now I'm doing Mondio obedience with Radish as well. So my little search and rescue girl does Mondio obedience on the side, may never compete, but she's learning all the things. And then she also does IGP tracking.
Right.
And then we do other random stuff like toss fetch, that kind of fun backyard stuff.
Yeah. Like normal dog stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And then Stacy.
Well, my dogs do nose work, right? Some competitive nose work. And I also do a lot of training in the backyard. I'll probably never compete in any kind of obedience, anything, but I'm enjoying teaching it because Crystal kind of helped me decide that it was actually kind of fun.
I know it's weird that way, that all of a sudden you're like, obedience.
I know. I don't really have time to compete with some of this stuff, especially like I was doing agility with Brava, but I'm running out of time because Prize has kind of been repurposed as a wilderness air scent area search dog. So she does that. She does a little bit of nose work on the side.
Right. And this whole entire kind of conversation came up because one of the things that we see kind of comes and ebbs and flows on some of the social media posts, and it usually comes in typically after a couple of large scale disasters, or there's this whole big push for people wanting to get involved in sniffy things. And there's all of a sudden people start going, oh, let's do scent work, right? And so the things when you start thinking about doing scent work could mean anything from IGP tracking and those sorts of tracking all the way over to your search and rescue type of stuff, to nose work, to handler specific stuff in AKC, to competitive tracking for AKC,
to
conservation work, to contract narcotics and explosives work and firearms work, which is a thing. And then we start putting in, can a dog do all of these things? And the answer is sure.
Question mark.
Question mark. Yes, they probably can, but can you reliably train it?
What are the considerations?
Yes.
And just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Correct. And when I ended up actually talking to a very nice person the other day who wanted to do something with their dog to keep them busy. And as you guys both know, and I actually did this to this poor woman, I asked her, what's her why? On the phone. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what's your why? Why do you want to do this? Not why does your dog want to do this? Why do you want to do this? And it took us a little while to talk through the whole thing. And people have to realize when they call me and ask me things, unfortunately, yes, I am probably cleaning my house while we have these conversations.
Or chores.
Or some, typically when I'm having conversations with anybody but you guys.
So
you guys.
People don't hear the donkeys?
No, they don't get to hear the donkeys. Or the chickens or the ducks.
I love hearing the donkeys in the background.
Well, actually, and then I'm like, oh, hey, Maverick's saying hi. Look, there's Blue.
Right.
Yeah. I have those conversations and I'm typically, or I might be folding clothes, right? And I sometimes just giving space for people to have that conversation because they've never really thought about it. Because the thing with the dogs doing some of this stuff is they absolutely could do it, but we start running into legal considerations on whether they should be doing it.
Yeah.
Right? There are legal considerations as to why your narcotics dog is not on human remains.
There's also practical reasons.
Correct.
So, I mean, you can speak to this as well, like why you want to have a narcotics and an explosive dog in the same dog.
Right. The response is just a tad different.
A little bit, right?
Just a little different.
Kind of what I also think about is the dog going to encounter both target odors potentially in the same location? And what could be the potential outcome of that?
The ramifications of that.
The ramifications. Yeah, exactly. So as a nose work dog who's been repurposed, I'm going to talk about my own dog, to do area search. She's looking for live human beings, right?
Right.
She's not going to have to choose between a live human being and clove. It's a completely different scenario because it comes down to, I need her to find the person and she doesn't have to make that choice. I think a lot of the issue comes down to, is the dog ever going to have to make that choice? For me, that's a big driver.
And I also think about the fact that let's look at the situations where if you're doing live find out in a forest where there happen to be birch trees,
they're not going to alert on
They're not going to alert on birch trees.
Not essentially. That I saw that on social media and I'm like, my little BS flag went up on that one. I'm like, it's not the same.
Well, essential oils are highly processed.
They are. They're on a carrier.
Yes.
And no, they're not.
Right. And all of those things matter to the dog.
Yeah.
And there's also a context that goes into your essential oils on where you do essential oil searches, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the important part comes in, is that you need to have separate cues, the contextual differentiation. So for instance, for Radish, so there's a lot that goes into this. So I've been writing a lot of stuff down as you're talking.
Well, we can see you writing. I'm like, Crystal is taking notes.
Yeah. Really profound as a result.
I know.
No.
I was
just thinking, because just based on what you were saying, people don't know some things. And so when you say that birch odor, so then, well, birch tree, that's where it comes from. So I would think the same, until learning different. And so then I also think about, okay, can you have a large enough difference? So I know a lot of teams will say that our dogs are all going to learn trailing first, and then they can specialize in area or Cadaver and so there, even on teams, you're saying you have to do trailing first. But what is the context? What is the difference? So that's on leash. It's on a certain harness. It's a completely different picture with a different train final response. And so we have to think about the contextual difference of the equipment that they wear, the location that they go to, your start line procedures. So there's so many things we build into this chain that make it such a different behavior. So when I go to do IGP tracking, for instance, why do I spend the extra time doing that? Because isn't doing search work a full-time experience anyway? Shouldn't I be putting all my effort into that? Like, why am I wasting my time doing Mondio obedience and doing all my silly tricks that I do? Because all of that is making us a stronger team together.
Yes.
And I love to train. And so if I'm not training, I'm going crazy. And so my dog loves to do it as well. So it's relationship bonding, it's engagement between us. And the skills that transfer from one to the other are amazing. So getting to do, like yesterday, I was doing a contact heel up into the location we needed to go. I'm doing that for Mondio. And then I have her off leash. I tell her to go potty. I have verbal control at a distance. I say collar, she runs back to me. And these are skills that I'm seeing that sometimes are lacking with other handlers and other teams because they're not doing that side of it. And a lot of that comes to safety, safety concerns.
Yes.
And so the sport work that I do strengthens all of the search work that I do. And when I get ready to do an IGP track, I'm at the same location. One of them, I go to the woods. The other one, I go to the grass. Like it's that little bit of a difference. But when I go to the grass, I put her botcher harness on. I have an entirely different start routine. There's a flag in the ground. And now she knows it's footprint tracking. It's crazy. What do you call IGP tracking? I forget what you call it. It's like insanity or something. Yeah. So then she knows that botcher harness is psycho tracking, and she knows when she finds articles, she's going to lay down with it between her feet.
Uh-huh.
And then I can turn around. I can take her botcher harness off. I can get her chuck it ball out. I can do our little arousal game that we play right before. And I can tell her with her holding her chest beside me, and I can say, go find, and she'll go find Cadaver 2 seconds later. But it's such a different start and a different equipment. So that's where one can strengthen the other. One is giving me more nose time, and it's giving me more endurance and sniffing. And those are all things I need in my Cadaver work. So I'm always kind of thinking about what's going to strengthen my Cadaver work.
Right.
So I think it's also, just to build on that a little bit, I think that's also different, though, than if you had another odor that she worked off leash in the woods that she may decide to choose over HR odor. I think that you did like conservation or something like that, where she may be in a situation where she's like human remains or
a competing.
I guess that's kind of like what I was trying to get at. I think there are certain situations where doing multiple things can strengthen the dog's ability. I mean, I look at actually nose work is actually strengthened because my dog came in as like an upper level dog, and she already knew how to search and she knew how to work odor. It was a matter of giving her a TFR with a lot of training, but
that's just a TFR.
Just a TFR. No, a lot of freaking training on top of it. Me too. I just want to put that out there that it was like probably like, oh my God.
A lot of training.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other episode. And actually, Robin's got a great online class if you want to find out what that training
I should. Yes.
The introduction.
It's in process.
Yeah. I think the issue is when you have competing odors and the dog's context is similar. I mean, it's a little bit different when you're talking trailing versus HR, right? I mean, your contexts are like really different. But when you're talking things like HR and you're talking maybe conservation or something, I think at that point, your contexts are really similar. I think the competing can be very similar. The odor can even present in a very similar manner. So I think there's a lot of things there.
I would never consider taking one of my narcotics dogs and doing essential oils with them.
Oh gosh, no.
Right. And the reason, or putting Nico on essential oils.
No.
And the reason why, I mean, there's a whole bunch of legal issues why you shouldn't do it. Right.
Yeah.
But one of the main reasons why is because we are asked to search houses.
Yeah.
we are asked to search. I might be asked to search luggage, or luggage from the narcotics side, but there might be clothes and things from the human side. Essential oils are everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And people use them in diffusers all of the time in your house. I've walked into houses with my cadaver dogs and they have diffusers going, or they might not have them going. There's one sitting on the counter because I know what they look like.
I go into an Airbnb. The first thing I do is unplug every diffuser I can find because I have nosework dogs.
Right.
Nosework is important to me. Yeah.
Right. So we run into that. And so let's think about, can you train a dog to do two different alerts? Can I train a dog to do a sit alert at lanternfly, spotted lanternfly? Can I train a dog to do a bark and hold at cadaver? Yes, I could do both. I absolutely can do both. Can I do it reliably outside of a training exercise?
Especially in that situation, in both situations, they're in the woods.
Right.
And you're off leash.
Right. You have your contexts can get quite confusing.
Yeah.
And we run into the problem that then we start going, okay, dogs think in what pays the most.
Yeah.
What pays better? Do you spend more time doing cadaver than you spend doing lanternfly? And so they're going to be like, well, lanternfly pays better, even though mom gave me the cadaver cue. I'm going to go ahead and alert on lanternfly.
Yeah.
I just happen to pick lanternfly because it's something you do out in the woods.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of people are doing it. I think there's some people doing turtles or doing all kinds of good stuff, which is great work. The work is amazing.
Right.
It just comes down to which dog should be doing it.
Right. I know people doing aphid work, right? Or bed bug work, whatever.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Great stuff.
So we could be looking for apples and oranges, whatever. So it has to do with can you versus should you?
Yep.
And I don't, especially with our dogs that have legal considerations. So the search and rescue dogs, even hopefully, though you don't get called into court, you can get called into court.
Mm-hmm.
You are responsible for somebody's loved one.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the person that is responsible for a bad guy getting away or not bringing somebody home.
Yeah.
I can do a whole bunch of other work with my dog, like Crystal was talking, that is supplemental to my cadaver work.
Yeah.
That allows me to have a better working relationship with my dog, but I don't have to do additional nose work.
I mean, I'm just looking at like if I put Prize on spotted lanternflies, like she could literally choose to ignore a subject because she smelled bugs.
Right.
And they're so prevalent in my area that that's not unrealistic.
Yeah. And that's like a danger.
Yeah. I mean, it could be somebody's life.
And you don't want to do that. And I even think if you wanted to get really technical, and I have not heard of anybody do this, but let's make the comparison of bed bugs and narcotics on the same dog.
Oh, God.
Right? That's the same type of concept. You're in a house, your dog is doing active sniffing stuff. Now
and
you're
it's
looking.
Actually possible you're going to find both.
You could find both in the same hotel room. Absolutely. Which is just kind of scary and yucky, but it happens.
You can see a lot. You can find a lot of things in a hotel room. That's the reason why I got a camper. I found too many things in a hotel room.
Yeah. Little high bed bugs. There you go.
I imagine little bed bugs that were like sucking on somebody that was like on meth or something. So now I'm like, huh.
I just like
it's a whole new level.
And
what does the dog do now?
Brava dives under the. She's not allowed to go in hotels anymore because. Oh my God, I don't know if I can tell the story on air. She goes underneath the bed and she pulls stuff out. It was the grossest thing I've ever seen in my life because she pulls out and I'm like, "What's in your mouth?" And I think she was only 1 year old. And it was a bottle of personal lubricant.
Oh.
I almost vomited. And I washed my hands for like a solid 5 minutes.
Okay. So much
a friend
better.
Of mine, her dog. A friend of mine's dog just vomited up a condom from an Airbnb.
No.
Yeah.
That's worse than my free. And that's why I have a camper.
Somebody I know actually on a much more G-rated level
Listen at this point. I mean,
we didn't.
Okay.
Her dog she would always have to go into the hotel rooms and remove the soap because the dog would go in and eat the soap.
Oh, Brava does that all the time. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, she had a whole bath bar of soap. It was horrible. Luckily, it came up in one piece because I'm like, her belly was swelling up, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to rush her to the vet because I'm like, you're bloating. She's foaming. She throws up, and she had a whole brand new bar of bath style soap that she'd thrown out.
Oh.
That was our safety PSA for everybody who does hotel rooms and don't Airbnb with your dogs.
This is why I live out of my van.
That's right.
Please do your safety walkthrough before turning your dogs loose.
And you got to like proof it for like Labradors.
Yes.
You can proof it for a Labrador. They're not
You're good. Right.
You're good.
Okay. So now that we went on the tangent after the high bed bugs.
Oh my God. Oh, the high bed bug. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I think it's pretty like you see a lot of, I think like nose job people who want to get into things like they're talking about search and rescue and everything. And I know there's a lot of conversation. I'm like, the first thing is you have to join a team.
Find a team. Yes.
Find a team. And then you have to find out from them what their policies are. Now, I unequivocally, a nose work dog should never be going for HR certification with a nose work dog, just straight up. But as far as like, can they do trailing or can they do area search? A lot of it's going to be team dependent.
Right.
My team doesn't have any problem with my dog doing area searches. She is a good area dog. She's a really, really good area dog. And there's no issue. She's out in the woods. We're in the game lands or whatever, but you have to talk to your team.
Well, you do. And the thing that I'll encourage everybody to do when you start thinking about all of these other odors and things that you can do with your dog, it goes back to your why. Why do you want to do the thing? One of the really nice conversations I had with somebody was, well, I want to give back to my community. Well, if we start looking at it from that aspect and you want to do it with your dog may not be the best fit for search and rescue or for some type of activity of that nature.
Yeah.
Actually, they might be a really good therapy dog. Now, of course, that might actually require you to like people, which is typically my problem.
Yeah.
So,
well, it comes down, I think what you're saying is that it's got to be your driver. It's not your dog's driver. It's
right.
like, it's not just, I want to go and give back. I want my dog to give back to the community, right?
It's actually got to be two things. It's got to be your driver.
Yeah.
And you have to have the right dog.
Right.
And having that right dog is harder than you think.
Yeah.
And, the day that I got Moses from the pound was the day I should have gone and bought a lottery ticket. But it's also one of those things because a lot of people go out and do breed. I mean, we're getting ready to breed some really nice working dogs.
Yeah.
And these are going to be really good candidates for doing all sorts of sniffy things. But the question is, and we know not every single one of them is going to be suitable to do working dog work.
No.
And it's okay because not everybody wants to be an engineer. Some people want to be dentists, which I still think is weird, but that's okay.
I'm an engineer. I definitely didn't want to be a dentist. I'm just
right. I still think
I'm not actually an engineer anymore. I have the chemical engineering degree, right? And I was just like, no, I'm a dog trainer.
Right. I know.
I don't want to be an engineer anymore.
I used to be a city planner. Now I'm a dog trainer.
There you go. Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm a dog trainer.
Crystal's still a teacher.
She's trying to get out of that though.
No, I know.
Just gonna hopefully switch.
All right.
I'm thinking about too, there's the considerations. So like Quinn, I always wanted to do search work with him because he was just, his nose and his hunt were just phenomenal. But I couldn't do it because he was a bite dog.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another thing about the cross training that I think it's interesting, and I always thought they're already dead. Who is there to bite? It didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand on a live find because I don't think people don't necessarily consider that you're not always finding someone that wants to be found,
right?
Or someone that's in their right mind. So if it's an Alzheimer's patient or some of the teenagers that we went looking for, they didn't want to be found and they were combative. And I wouldn't want a dog to have the wrong idea. And I could see that being possible. I'm going to say, I don't think that I'm going to understand why it's not okay. And I think it's because maybe the way that I train and the way that I see that my dog is very way more well controlled than a lot of the other dogs that I see.
Yeah.
Why it's such a big deal when it comes to Cadaver, that will always twist my brain a little that so many teams won't allow that.
I mean, all I can think there, and again, I don't have the answer to that. And, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, is that maybe it has to do with also the people that you're searching with, and you could be searching with between the flankers, you could have people kind of showing up and wanting to, hey, I heard, so and so.
I look at it as they have to be such stable dogs to do the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like martial arts. They don't just randomly go out and just bite people because you have bite training. But I also know that not everybody trains their dogs in the same way that I do.
Right.
And they don't necessarily always have the stable dog that they should. And so I wish that instead of being a blanket statement, that it was actually about the individual, their training and their dog, instead of blanket statements of, because I think we're missing out on some really phenomenal dogs.
Yes.
Because if I could have started this a long time ago with Quinn, man, he was
right.
I'd have been in this years ago, a decade ago.
Kind of like what Robin was just saying, you have to have the right dog. I think sometimes people see oh, Stacy did it, right? Stacy's got her, the dog that was a nose work dog. Now she's a search and rescue dog. I'm already an experienced trainer, number one. And number two, my dog was actually bred for this.
Right.
I just hadn't used her for that. But she is specifically bred for search and rescue. So, and she has the right drives for it. Out of my 3 dogs, I think she's actually the strongest out of the 3 for what I'm doing with her. And all 3 of them were bred for it.
Before you started down that path, you and I had that conversation.
We had a big conversation about that.
Right. On which dog would be, which dog is going to be the best dog.
Yeah.
And the prize went out.
Yeah.
On a couple of different levels.
I mean, I look at the fact that she has no prey drive.
Right.
Which I love. I see a lot of people, they're out there doing barn hunt. And I'm I would absolutely not take a dog that you've done barn hunt with and even consider doing any kind of search work with that dog, because now the dog's been reinforced for finding critters, number one. Number two, when you're out there, you can't control the kind of critters you're going to encounter.
Oh my gosh.
In 1 year, she's tried to run into a pack of coyotes. We've worked right past a rattlesnake. We've flushed a handful of baby deer. She had in a blank area, a deer herd ran out in front of her. We've flushed wild turkeys. This is just the quick list.
We were out doing some work the other day, and literally I had to have a flanker go out and move a herd of deer out of the way because otherwise they were standing there and watching us and looking at my little scorpion werewolf going, what's that? And I was you guys. Yeah. And so, the barn hunt thing is a thing. And
if you've trained it and you've encouraged it, that's the thing.
That's the thing. And because you know what? My little fuzzy, wonderful border collie, Helen, I remember us being on a search, 20 years ago. And I'm standing there with law enforcement. And the next thing I know, he's chasing a squirrel up a tree.
Oh, no.
And I'm looking at him where'd that come from? He's but I'm a dog, Mom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they are dogs, but you want to try to minimize that.
Okay, friend.
She would have killed herself in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If I tried to do this with her. She just would have just been or she'd try to find a person and just leave it, just bodies of animals all.
Crystal's whole comment about the finding the right dog, right? And the bite work dogs and doing some of the search and rescue work. I used to be of the opinion that, oh my gosh, your search and rescue dogs should be able to do PR work.
Oh, no.
Right. Well, and you know what? You know who changed my mind on that? Dash.
Oh, okay.
And I had Moses, who was I love doing PR work. Well, actually, it was Dash and Ray. Because Ray turned into a demand barker, I would take her to class.
Yeah.
And she learned if she stood there and she barked at me, I would feed her treats.
Yeah.
Dash is one of those, we were doing a PR event and I saw my lab go, I don't like people anymore. This is
Oh,
too overwhelming.
okay.
And I kind of got to the point where I'm like, we expect these dogs to go out and work for hours at a time, finding whatever we expect them to find. Having the same dog sometimes that can show up and walk through a parade or withstand 25 kids in a event mauling them might be a little bit much to ask.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely, there's very strict lines that I now draw for dogs. And I'm like, this dog gets this job, this dog gets that job. And yeah, there's just certain things I don't ask my dogs to do that I look back at my first couple dogs that I asked them to do. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot.
Yeah. I mean, with the PR events, like she was good in the parade. I like things to be, I just like the smaller meet and greets because, it's very.
Yeah. Controllable.
Yeah. Like, and all of a sudden it's things that surprise you and come out of the woodwork. And that said, I mean, I was like, did a seminar with her last weekend and I was so proud of her. Like we did a search next to, it was a field with 3 Anatolian shepherds guarding their livestock. And we did a search like right next to it. And she was amazing. But then she's working. So for her, that's different than having to go to, a PR event and have all of a sudden be surprised by children or dogs or whatever. It's actually very different.
Working is a whole different thing. But if you want, sit around and like twiddle their thumbs, no.
Yeah.
I would love to see teams have a therapy dog program within their search teams. I think that would be such a great addition.
Our friend
because I know
Natalie.
Natalie.
Yeah. We need to have her on because it's such a brilliant thing because it's not just after bad things happen, but it's also for preventative. And like, I think it's just such a great resource of having that therapy presence, for this purpose, because they have a job, a really important job. And what a great addition to SAR teams.
So we'll work on getting Natalie on, but for you guys, that's Mid-Minnesota Canine. They've got a therapy dog program and a search and rescue program that's all housed in one team.
That's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And they have some really nice standards for that because Natalie's good at that stuff.
Because I think of so many searches that we had that the family is right there and they're seeing the person's last steps and they're mourning and they're grieving and they want to love on the dog sometimes. And it's like, that's just, the dog is in work mode. It's not the appropriate time.
It's not the appropriate
what a great
dog
asset to have.
Yes.
Yeah. To have that therapy dog on site for those moments, for the handlers, for the families. And so there's lots of cross-training tasks there too, but I don't think it's a lot to ask of our dogs. Now, Yukon, he was the therapy dog of our group. You would think that, the Dutch Shepherd, but but he absolutely, he's like the savant of, wow.
I can actually think of a couple of people right now that I know that would love to serve in that role on a search and rescue team and have the dog that would actually excel in that role as a therapy dog.
Yeah.
Right. And whether it's the person who may not, they want to give back, they would love to support the search and rescue team, but they also may not be the best person to be out in the field.
Yeah, because that's a whole other thing. You're talking fitness, you're talking, there's all.
Right. It might be something which goes back to teams as to, let's think about how do you serve your community best and make sure everybody, but you can actually define roles better that allows people and dogs to better fit in where they would do. So that was like a big whole ramble.
Those are my retirement thoughts. My retirement thoughts are to get into nose work and to get into therapy dog work. So that's when I can't do the stuff I'm doing now, that's going to be my next role in life.
Like competitive nose work?
Yeah. That's all right. When I can no longer like do the things I'm doing now and all physical.
Okay. So I was like, you mean you're going to start like nose work like this summer?
No. Like when my body, when I've destroyed my body so much that I can no longer.
I was like, when are you going to have time to do that?
This is my retirement from,
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So those are my retirement thoughts.
I'm sitting here, I'm like 34 in my head, and I have been for years.
I get that.
And the body's actually better.
My
now
body says
than
I'm
when I was
not.
34. Yeah, but it's actually better now than when I was 34. So
that's awesome. Thanks to Liz Joyce. And all your hard work.
Now I'm deciding to go backwards. That's my decision. I'm just going to go backwards.
I like it. It's a good choice.
I know. I've gotten to a certain age where I'm not going to run out of backwards.
I just think we've seen a lot of people. Well, we've seen a lot of people on teams that had the difficult conversations of they need to retire. They need to step down. Either that their dog can't do it anymore, and they're at a point where they really shouldn't get another dog, but they still want to be active.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can't even be active as field support, even as like IC or anything, because maybe like mental facilities aren't there sometimes or physical. And
right.
So I think hard. That it's just another way to be there and still be part of a team.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's a community.
Yeah. And then you have dogs like mine who just is like, she could care less about people. She just wants her ball. That's why, honestly, she's not a PR dog, because she really doesn't. The people are just her. When she finds somebody, it's her avenue to her ball.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, so when she does her refind, like she doesn't go up to the person and go, "Oh, I'm so excited to see you. I'm so excited to see you." She goes, "Hi, bye.
Can you just give me my ball, stupid?
I just want my ball." So it's kind of like,
I get it.
She just does a little bit of a spin and runs back like, "I get my ball now."
I've got another question for you guys.
Oh no.
Maybe this is like a FEMA type question. Well, no, I'm just thinking.
Okay.
When you have, a lot of people will say they want to have their dogs cross-trained for live and cadaver for various reasons. And I'm just curious your thoughts on that. So a dog that is live find only, would they miss a cadaver? And so then they wouldn't be able to find that human. Are there advantages to that? So I just kind of want you to speak to that, because I think that's one of the hot topics that kind of comes from this.
It does. And there's in the FEMA system, here's what I will say. This is Robin's opinion. Okay. This is Robin's opinion.
This is RO.
Yes. This is my opinion of how the world should work. And I will give you my opinion on the thoughts on how disaster dogs and the philosophy that I believe is behind it. Take with it what you will. In a disaster situation, our predominant responsibility when we first get there is to find people alive. And in my opinion, that is our utmost mission one. Live find dogs in that situation are crucial because we need them to forsake everything else on the pile and go find live people. So one dog, one job. And I want them to be able to bypass human remains. I want them, do I want them to, depending on how fast we get there, because I've seen this, we've arrived soon enough in certain cases that the people are deceased, I believe. I don't know for sure, I believe. But the live find dogs said, hey, there's somebody alive here, but we can't pinpoint. And the cadaver dog said, there's something interesting here, but we don't know. Because we were at that phase where the live find dogs weren't familiar enough with human remains to say, yes, this is where they're at. They still smell sort of alive. And the cadaver dogs, because we have such a hard time being able to find really fresh deceased humans to add that to their odor profile, they're not familiar with it. So that runs into reading dog body language, right? So I believe live find dogs should be purely live find only, because in those particular instances, when those dogs go in and they alert, our tech search guys go in, our tech rescue starts planning stuff. we are throwing significant time, resources, and money to getting those people out alive as quickly as possible. So that's my belief around live fine dogs. Cadaver dogs, in the disaster scenario, if you're going to cross train a dog, my thought process would be if you're going to certify a live fine dog to do cadaver, you then deploy it as a cadaver dog. Because then if you happen to find a person alive that the cadaver dogs missed, added bonus for you, but you are deploying as a cadaver dog. And because we're much more systematic, there's safety considerations, all of those sorts of things. We might be looking for much smaller pieces. We're back to the whole fact that when we are starting to look for human remains in a disaster setting, you're talking about everything from floods to burned out things, to tornadoes, to wide area search, to drownings because of floods. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So it's truly a full spectrum thing. So that is my whole thought on cross training. And there is so much that goes into having a really, really, really well-rounded cadaver dog that specializing in cadaver work is a thing. And so one dog, one job for me is not an unheard of thing. On the other hand, there's always but the other hand. Some of it depends, especially in a more wilderness setting, first responder setting. You may not know if you're getting deployed, you are a first responder. Are you going out the door for a hunter? Is that hunter alive or are they now passed away?
You don't know.
You don't know. So you might need a dog that can do both realms, but they may not do crime scene or forensics level cadaver, but they need to do large fresh source.
Right. And so they're not an HR dog.
Right.
I think that's a distinction.
There is a distinction. So this is why when people say, I want to get into search and rescue, and we look at them and say, well, which part? And they look at us like deer in the headlights and they're like, well, we want to go find people. Okay, what kind? Yep. Right? There's a lot that goes into it. And so did that answer your question?
Yeah, because the thing that I put you there, because I already know your answer.
I know.
But I think that's the really heart of what we were talking about today is, do you do one or the other or both, and why? And so the considerations are you a rural team working wilderness, or is that your specialty and you're not going to be doing disasters?
Right.
And is that what your team needs? Like, you have 2 dogs on your team. And is it better for those 2 dogs to be able to do both disciplines? Do you have handlers that are capable of it? What are your considerations? Is it better to have one that specializes in one and one that specializes in another? Like, these are all things that people have to make decisions on. So it's nice to hear other people's thoughts to see, where that jives with what they're trying to figure out.
Right. And everybody would love to have this yes and no answer, but the answer is it depends. And the biggest thing for me is it depends on the skill of the dog and the drives of the dog and the skill of the handler or trainer for no matter what you're doing. And it depends on what you're getting deployed for the most. Because if anybody calls me about doing any type of detection work anymore, the first thing that I ask them is, what is your expectation for getting to go out the door? I don't care if it's disaster work. I don't care if it's search and rescue. I don't care if it's contract work. Where do you live? What are you training your dog to do? And how do you expect to go out the door? Because unless you live in certain locations, you're not going to get to go out to do anything. And I had somebody contact me not too long ago and say, I want to be on a FEMA team. I want to train a dog to do FEMA disaster work. And they're like, where do you live? And they gave me a location. And I said, most of the FEMA teams will not take anybody unless you live within 100 miles of one of their 29 locations. Here's where you can go get the map. And I got a note back from them not too long ago. Yeah, never mind. That's not going to work. And I'm like, right. But you don't know what you don't know. And I hate crushing people's dreams. But I also want to be realistic because I don't want people to spend a lot of time training a dog to do something that they're never going to get to go use.
Right.
That crushes my soul.
Yeah. And that's where I am right now with a dog that's been certified and deployable now for a lot of months and no deployments because I have to find the right teams that will accept mutual aid. And so it's a lot of work.
Right.
And I think too, that goes back to the cross training thing of I would lose my mind if that's all I was doing.
Correct.
And so that's one of the things that was a huge lesson for me just yesterday. I took about 3 weeks off from doing odor work and I just needed to. And going back and getting to train with somebody new with new source she'd never experienced, blind search, and she just nailed it. And it was like, yeah, I think sometimes those breaks are so nice. I think about myself as an athlete and not now, but used to be. And the off-season breaks were so important. And so I think it's the same cross-training ideas that it is important to have kind of some other things to balance the time and balance the energy. I think I heard you say it before, like I love chocolate cake, but eating chocolate cake every day, it's not as special.
Yeah.
And it was really special yesterday to watch the amount of drive and enthusiasm and to see all the stuff I was doing on the side. You know, I was working on her not dropping shoulders and rolling in dead stuff. And to see her that all of those lessons we've been doing in the meantime apply directly into it. And I've taken all this time to go hiking, so much hiking, because I think that's what we were missing was that hiking part together. And oh man, it was so great to be out there with her again.
I will tell you guys, got my knee fixed. I've been doing 1.5 miles, like 4 to 5 times a week. The dogs are enjoying it.
Nice.
Yeah. The hiking and being able. So yes, I know, Stacy, you're trapped in Florida at the moment.
I am. It's
trapped.
Yeah, right.
Well, you are there's very little hiking that doesn't involve like large
alligators,
huge
that want to eat
reptiles. So
yes,
you are a little bit trapped. And it is actually pretty warm here, but I totally agree with that. And at the same time, it's also, you've just got to pick the right cross training. I think that's kind of like what we're talking about is that it's not just any cross training and that you have to do it for the right reasons. And I think that's really what it comes down to. It's like, you're just not looking find something that's not going to conflict and not going to like be detrimental either to the mission or on a legal side.
And think about it for retirement sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, you don't have to do it right now. It can be the cool retirement thing you do down the road.
My new exciting thing is actually getting into posture sits for my dogs. I'm starting to do some of the posture stuff because everybody needs to do more physical posture
conditioning.
So much conditioning. Move and my back cracks.
Yeah. Yes. So conditioning.
For real though. And that's for all sports. That's for all, like we treat our athletes and we treat them like they're not athletes and we forget. And it's the warm-ups, the cool down, the conditioning. Like that in itself takes so much time.
Agreed. Go conditioning. Yay. That was our little commercials for your New Year resolution, right?
Well, and we interviewed Ronnie, and she's a conditioning expert. We interviewed about Bobby Lyons. So we've shown that we think it's an important topic. And even for ourselves, we interviewed Liz Joyce to show how much conditioning is important in what we do for our dogs and ourselves.
Yes.
So if it's before February 15th, we have to look at our trusty little calendar there. I still have classes that are open. Intro to nose work. I've got a class on hide placement, which gets an intentional training based off of scent theory, guys. It's super important.
Woo-hoo.
I think it's going out the 18th.
Oh, darn. All right. You guys are too late to get that.
Because if it's the 4th, it'll be the 18th.
All right. Well,
you missed it
next time. Missed it. Sorry. They're really cool.
Suck to suck.
It does. Yeah. Okay, Crystal, what are you up to?
Well, no, Stacy's got other stuff.
No, well, I don't know what's planned at that point. I mean, there's going to be.
We haven't got past this term.
I don't plan out that far. Are you kidding me?
Okay. Well, we've got a Mondio trial coming up in St. Louis. It's 2 trials. So we have one Saturday and one Sunday on March 1st and March 2nd. So come on out to St. Louis. It's going to be at Lone Wolf Park in St. Peters, Missouri. Check out Evolution Working Dog Club to find out more information on Facebook. I also have, oh my gosh, I've booked too many. I realized today I almost couldn't breathe. I looked at how many things I've booked in a row. So basically I leave in June and I don't come back until October. So I'm going to put all that up and figure things out and how to share those things on my CB Canine page. But there are still 2 spots for Wisconsin at InSync Agility. And that's it's a year-long thing. I'm going up to Wisconsin 4 times and there's 2 working spots left. So it's not just a one and done. You're committing to 4 times of kind of a group of really committed people of how I can help you. So
when are you going to be in Wisconsin for the first time?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
talking about that.
March 8th and 9th is the first one. So you'll need to do it by March 8th, 9th. And it's the 2 spots might be gone by the time this airs, but
so who knows?
It's out there. But there's audit spots. I'll be there 4 times.
Audit spots are good. So what's going on in my world? So Canine Census has launched a coaching community. So we have a Facebook group that you can be part of. And Natalie Runge and I are hosting that. And it is actually meant more towards just us getting together as humans and not only talking dog training and things like that, but also talking about how to communicate to the other humans that we have to work with, which is often the hard part. So we do monthly coaching calls. You can find that on the website or in the show notes, because we'll put the link in the show notes. For all of our law enforcement and military working dog listeners, you can register for the Military Working Dog Symposium for free, which is in Alpine, Michigan. That's at the end of April, beginning of May. Muscatatuck, so it's Canine Census at Muscatatuck, is the weekend after Memorial Day. So 28th, 29th, and like June 1st. And we are going to be concentrating on very large, very fresh source this year. There are a couple of spaces left open if somebody wants to register. It is all inclusive, includes catered meals and room and board. There's also AT Canine that's in October, and the Canine Census Dog Trainers Academy is accepting enrollments for this fall. That starts in September. I think that's it for the moment. Crystal, your dates were in March, right?
Yes, that's the first one.
That was the first one. All right. So we will have all of the dates, and when Stacy comes up with something brilliant by then, we will have her whatever brilliant thing.
There's always something brilliant. It's just I don't know exactly what that's in my head at this point. So
right.
TBD,
so we'll have it
but definitely brilliant.
Yes, exactly. So thanks everybody for watching, listening.
Oh, please don't watch.
We purposely don't do the watching part on purpose. So thanks everybody, and go train.
Canine Detection Collaborative! We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to k9detectioncollaborative.com. That's K9detectioncollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.